George Lucas, born in 1944. He's one of the world's most talented and successful movie creators ever, and that includes writing, producing, and directing. Among other movies, he created the Star Wars saga. Mr. Lucas personally wrote and produced the first 6 movies in the Star Wars series. Those first 6 movies hit a chord in the planetary population of Earth. A light went off in the minds of so many millions of people, perhaps billions. Each of the first 6 movies dove into new aspects of life in the galaxy. Moreover, the idea of the Force was fundamental to all of those early movies. Each movie invited us to envision amazingly different worlds and cultures spread across the galaxy. And while he did not call it remote viewing, distant perception was very fundamental to all of Lucas's Star Wars movies. The Force was a real thing, a deep thing. I still remember visiting a meditation center long ago, and as I was leaving in the evening, all of the meditation teachers were gathering around a TV to watch one of the original George Lucas Star Wars movies. They were all so excited, and then one of the meditation teachers looked at me as I was leaving and said, "Those movies are really deep, really deep." Well, that is the way I felt also at the time, but I did not understand why.
Family, war, control. He's planning something that needs to be presented. I'm sensing lots of emotions from this male subject.
Now I'm certain that George Lucas considers all of his Star Wars movies to be works of fiction, and I am sure that he came up with all of those ideas all by himself. But I could just never figure out how he did it. Certainly he was guided by his own intuitions in creating all aspects of his movies, but where did those intuitions come from? Were they created out of whole cloth, total fantasies, or were they memories or something else? I even wondered if some of the Star Wars ideas might have been planted in his mind by extraterrestrials who were trying to help humanity remember its own distant past. I just did not know.
He's working. He's got this stern expression, and he's working, and he's fiddling with all sorts of objects here and there on the desk. And, this is our primary target subject right there.
Now, after so many remote viewing projects that we have conducted at Farsight, and after seeing that so many of our results involve aspects of extraterrestrials and Earth's long history with them, I began to see a remarkable pattern. In my mind, there appeared to me a similarity between the original 6 Star Wars movies and the results of so many of our projects. Now, all of our projects were conducted using highly trained remote viewers working under blind conditions. So, given that the data from so many of our projects was similar, I could not help but wonder if there was some real connection between the ideas that George Lucas was putting into his Star Wars movies and actual history.
There are pieces, like these large pieces of something, like he's trying to assemble something important here. I'm going to do a deep mind probe to see what he's building. What he's building seems to have been built before. It's like a structure that he's putting back together. It's not super large or anything, but it's definitely sizable. The structure is strong, made of metal or titanium, a type of titanium, a type of very strong metal.
Eventually, I simply could not resist. I really wanted to know how Mr. Lucas came up with so many ideas that found parallels with so many of our remote viewing projects. A galaxy filled with species at war. Freedom lovers versus fascistic authoritarians. So one day I put my mind to designing a project that might help us understand how George Lucas came up with so many of his Star Wars ideas, including his plots.
A big bright light behind these structures here. It's just like all over the place, super bright. Looks like a giant flashlight lighting up behind these structures. All right, cool. So I'm also getting this feeling that like these structures are breaking or they're being broken down. Kind of just like, like a chunk's missing over here. This place gone. Chunk missing over here. gone. This one over here, gone.
The first target for this project is George Lucas in his current life during the most important moments when he conceives of the Star Wars saga and its various elements. The viewers will perceive George Lucas and his surrounding environment, and the viewers will perceive whatever causes or assists George Lucas to think of these elements. The second target for this project was written after I saw the data from our remote viewers for the first target, meaning the results for the first target gave me an idea of what to pursue in the second target. The second target for this project is George Lucas in a past life where he has his most intense experiences that enable him to conceive of and write the Star Wars saga.
If this location is revealed, then it's going to be very dangerous. There are too many people that can know about this location. The dangerous part about finding about this location, the dangerous part about finding out where this location is that this location is forbidden and subjects are trying to suppress the information that is on the inside of this location.
All right, so the target activity really tears apart the pointy structure. So you see these, it gets this huge crack just all in the center of it, and as it comes down, just fiery hot explosives just emanate and billow out of the side of this thing. Let me see if I can. This is a really big force. It's just like a volcano just shooting up and out, and this crack is just tearing in and just tearing apart this whole structure, just filleting it, just breaking it open. At the same time, the target event also has way up in the sky just this, so if here's the surface of the environment, the base surface, way up in the sky there is this non-surface structure that is high above.
You know, when you're doing something and it's like remembering something someone said to you over time, and that's like, if I'm doing this and you kind of hear your mom's voice in the back of your head, or you kind of hear a friend or old teacher or something you saw in a movie, that fight or that determination in your mind that's of someone else's memories or thoughts that have been mentioned. It's like memories from different lives. Like he has had multiple lives and he's remembering them.
We live in a galaxy that has a very wounded history. Part of our job at Farsight is to help piece that distant past together, helping humanity remember what happened before. But we at Farsight do not work in a vacuum. We live here on Earth just like everyone else. And there are others who care about our species and our world, and they also seek to awaken humanity. They may or may not understand what drives them, and they may not consciously be aware of trying to awaken anyone. But I personally recognize their contributions, and I am grateful for them. I see George Lucas as one of those people.
This being over here, really intense, very ferocious looking being definitely knows that I'm here as well, observing it. Sort of sees me like a human would see a fly that's just buzzing around the room, not really caring, not really giving much mind, but definitely aware.
So much involved and so many things and people here involved in this secret organization. Okay, so these connections feel like they run very deep. They feel like they spread across galaxies, not just planets, but galaxies. This thing feels huge.
Okay, so what general conclusions can we draw from these data? Pulling everything together requires me to speculate a bit. Our data seem to suggest 4 fundamental things. First, George Lucas was inspired by his own vague and distant memories of a galactic civilization that he previously lived in during a past life. Second, that galactic civilization was once dominantly run by an extreme fascist organization that was more odious than anything that has happened on Earth in who knows how long. Third, George Lucas in his previous life was a member of a closely networked and very large resistance movement that spanned a number of star systems. The resistance movement fought real physical battles with the fascistic governing authorities. And fourth, consciousness was a crucial element in the thinking of the resistance forces. It was a real thing, not a movie prop.
This power, it shows imagery, and the imagery is not something that can physically be touched. It's something that's in the mind. It's mental. The actual object itself emits power because it's controlling the mind to visualize something that it's projecting.
Okay, let me be clear about this. I am not saying that George Lucas would agree with anything that we came up with using remote viewing. He may think that his Star Wars ideas were just his imagination, possibly guided by other things such as Buddhism and perhaps the writing of people such as Joseph Campbell. I don't even know if he has ever heard of Farsight or remote viewing, or if he believes remote viewing is even possible. I do not personally know George Lucas, nor do I have any connection with him, Lucasfilms or Disney, financial or otherwise. All I have is curiosity, and all I know is that George Lucas is a public figure who has changed the world tremendously for the better, and we used our same normal remote viewing procedures to go into his mind while he was envisioning, writing, and creating his Star Wars movies. When we did that, our viewers perceived stuff, and what you're about to see firsthand is what they perceived.